Hey guys, I hope you had a really good spring break. I hope it was nice and chilled, and I do apologise. We're going back to Romeo and Juliet for a while. So, Act 3, Scene 2 follows the fight scene in Act 3, Scene 1, wherein Mercutio is killed by Tybalt, and out of revenge, Romeo kills Tybalt. So we start this scene, it's Juliet, and she is going to come to hear about what's happened. So your objectives for the scene, you'll analyse devices and language using the level 1, 2, 3 system, and you'll write a structured paragraph about the importance of darkness in Romeo and Juliet. So we start the scene, Juliet's there, she says she wants the night time to come so Romeo can come with it and come to her house as promised, and she says, "Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds." So she's referring to the sun in this metaphor, which spans 4 lines. So "Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus' lodging." So Phoebus, the sun god, have your horses take you home. Such a wagoner as Phaeton, Phaeton being the sun god's son, would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. So Phaeton, the sun god's son, would whip everything quicker and bring the night time, which I so desperately want, so Romeo can come to be here immediately. And and spread thy close curtain, love performing night, that runaway's eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. So obviously she's referring to Romeo coming here under the cover of nighttime, where he won't be seen and won't be spoken of. And then she says, "Lovers can see to do their amorous rights by their own beauties." I'm not going to explain that. "Or if love be blind, it best agrees with the night. Come, civil night, thou sober suited matron, all in black." So a nice little metaphor there, talking about the night, which is somberly dressed and brings in the love, brings in Romeo. And teach me how to lose a winning match. So teach me how I can submit to Romeo. Played for by a pair of stainless steel maidenhoods, heard my unmanned blood, baiting in my cheeks with thy black mantle till strange love grow bold. So basically, the nighttime needs to hide my embarrassment, and because she's really shy. The baiting in my cheeks, the blood flowing to her cheeks, when you get embarrassed and your cheeks go really red, the nighttime will hide that, and until I feel confident enough to show it, really. So I really want the nighttime to be here. And night is important in Romeo and Juliet. Obviously, they met at night. They met at the ball, which was at night. The balcony scene was at night. They're together at night, when Romeo plans to climb up this rope ladder after their wedding night. That will be at night. They even die at night. So perhaps there's a couple of explanations. Perhaps their love is almost supposed to be like a dream, a fantasy, if you will. And therefore it's done at night when people should be sleeping. It's a dream. Or it could be that they're trying to set the characters apart. So when everyone else is sleeping, Romeo and Juliet are out making their own life together. So it maybe sets them apart. I think as well the characters seem to change at night. They speak with lots more religious imagery, as opposed to being more bawdy, which Romeo particularly does in the daytime. So there's lots of explanations for how the night is important, but definitely they seem to live whilst everyone else is asleep, and their love seems to be like a dream. And there's lots of imagery about the night, as we see here. So, think true love, acted simple modesty. Come night, come Romeo, come thou day in night. So she's referring to Romeo here. You are the day of my night. You are the bright thing in my life. Please come here under the cover of darkness. I like it to be dark on our wedding night because I'm embarrassed, I'm nervous, and my cheeks will go red, and the nighttime can hide this. I hope it comes really quickly. For thou will lie upon the wings of night. So Romeo, you will lie upon the wings of night. Again, metaphor referring to night like this winged thing. Hang on, I can't see the bottom of my thing there. Whither than new snow upon a raven's back. So whiter than new snow upon a raven's back, comparing Romeo to something white and pure and light like snow on a raven's back. A raven is obviously dark, so nice thing there about Romeo. It says, "Come, gentle knight, come, loving black-browed knight. Give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him in little stars. And he will make the face of heaven so fine that the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun." So Romeo, he's so beautiful and so perfect and so bright and lovely that when he dies, the heavens can cut him up into little stars, put him in the sky, and he'll make the heavenly sky so beautiful and bright that the world will fall in love with night, as opposed to paying worship to the flamboyant, garish, ugly sun. "Oh, I have bought the mansion of love, but not possessed it." So I bought this house, this big old house of love, but I've not yet stepped foot in it. I've not yet occupied it. I've married Romeo, I've met him, I've fallen in love, but I've not actually spent my wedding night with him yet. And though I am sold, not yet enjoyed. So I haven't had the chance to enjoy being the owner of this love. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival. So the day's long. I hate the daytime. I want it to be night so I can see Romeo. It's like the night before some festival. So think about your birthday, or if you go on holiday or something really exciting the next day, and you just can't wait for it. You want it to hurry up and arrive, and you're really impatient. And then she uses another metaphor, so to an impatient child that have new robes and may not wear them. So it's like when you're a kid and you get new clothes, but you're not allowed to wear them yet. You're really impatient. You want them so badly. She's comparing that to Romeo and her love for Romeo and spending the night with Romeo. "Oh, here comes my nurse, and she brings news in every tongue that speaks, but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquent." So anyone who speaks about Romeo is heavenly, and I just can't wait to hear it, and it brings me such good news. And the nurse is probably going to have news of Romeo, and therefore I can't wait to hear the lovely things she says. And the nurse enters with the rope ladder. Obviously, this was the plan for Romeo, to use the rope ladder to climb the fence and climb the wall and sneak in her bedroom. She says, "Now, nurse, what news? What hast thou there? The cords that Romeo bid thee fetch." You have the rope ladder that Romeo told you to get. She says, "Aye, aye, the cords." "Ay me, what news? Why dost thou wring thy hands? So why are you wringing your hands? Why are you playing with your hands like that? What makes you so nervous and skittish?" And the nurse says, "Oh, where a day, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. We are undone, lady, we are undone. Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead." So she's, woe the day is awful. What an awful thing. He's gone, he's killed, he's dead. She hasn't said who. So Juliet probably infers that she's talking about Romeo. Juliet says, "Can heaven be so envious, or can heaven and this big plan and fate be so cruel? Romeo can, though heaven cannot." So Romeo could be cruel and vicious, though heaven cannot. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, whoever would have thought it? Romeo, who would have known he could be such a cruel person?" And she says, "What devil art thou that dost torment me thus?" So what devil are you that you're tormenting me this way? "This torture should be roared in dismal hell." So this torture is that you're giving me now, that you're putting me through by talking like this and not saying everything, is like what would be torturous in hell. "Have Romeo slain himself? Say thou, but I." So has Romeo killed himself? Say yes. "And that bare vow, I shall poison more." So there's a bit of wordplay here. I obviously means yes, but it sounds like I, the pronoun for oneself. So say yes, and I, the bare vow, I as in me, shall poison more. So I'll be more poison than Romeo, "than the death darting eye of a cockatrice." So I'll be more poisonous, and more poison than from a deadly snake, a deadly poisonous snake. "I am not I, if there be such an I." So if you do say yes, I will not be myself. Again, wordplay. "Or if those eyes shut that make the answer I." So if Romeo's eyes are shut and it makes you say yes. "If he be slain, say I, or if not, no." So just hurry up, yes or no. "Bring sounds determine of my weal or woe." So obviously we see her speaking in rhyme here, in rhyme verse. And she's basically just saying, hurry up and tell me, is it yes, is it no? It's going to tell me how happy I'm going to be. The nurse says, I saw the wound, I saw it with mine eyes. God save the mark here on his manly breast. A piteous course, a bloody piteous course. So I saw this horrible, this corpse with this wound on it, this horrible bloody wound on it, pale, pale as ashes. So his body was as pale as ashes, all bedaubed in blood, all in gory blood. I swooned at night, so I fainted after seeing such a sight, the blood and the gore. Juliet says, oh, break, my heart, poor bankrupt, break at once, so there's nothing left of me. My heart needs to break because it's already bankrupt now, it's already ruined, there's nothing left of it, so it can break immediately. To prison, AISE, never look on liberty, so AISE go to prison, never look freely again. So she thinks that the nurse is talking about Romeo. Vile earth to earth resign, so my earthly body needs to die and go to rest, end motion here, end my life here. And thou and Romeo press on one heavy bier, so me and Romeo will be in a coffin together. And the nurse says, oh, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had. Oh, courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that ever I should live to see thee dead. So I can't believe Tybalt's dead. He's such a nice fellow, he's such a nice bloke, and I can't believe I should live to see him be dead. Juliet says, what storm is this that blows so contrary? So what is the message you're saying now? It's contradictory to what I thought. Is Romeo slaughtered and is Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dearer lord. So my cousin who I love, but my husband who I love even more. Then, dreadful trumpets, sound the general doom. So it's the end of the world, for who is living if those two are gods? So I can't believe it. If those two beautiful people have gone from my life, it's the end of the world. Tybalt is gone, the nurse says, and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished. So here's where she's telling him what happened. Tybalt's dead, Romeo's the one to kill him, and because of that, he's banished. And Juliet says, oh God, did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood? It did, alas the day, it did. Now, Juliet's initial response is anger. She says, oh serpent heart hid with a flowering face. So here, you evil, horrible snake with a beautiful face, you monster with a beautiful face, oxymoron. Did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? So was there ever a monster that had such a beautiful cave? Again, referring to his character, like face and looks and disposition. Beautiful tyrant, fiend angelical. Fiend obviously an evil person, and angelical as in angels. So we've got beautiful tyrant as well. Oxymorons. Dove, feathered raven. Doves obviously white, pure, signify peace. Raven, black. Can symbolise death. So we've got another oxymoron there. Wolvish ravening lamb, so a wolf-like lamb, another oxymoron. Oxymoron, a wolf in sheep's clothing, basically, is the common modern day idiom. Despised substance of divinest show. So you dirty, horrible thing in the divinest heavenly appearance. Another oxymoron. Just opposite to what thou justly seemest, a damned saint and honourable villain. So more oxymorons, you come across like saint, but really you are evil. O nature, what hadst thou to do in hell, when thou didst bow at the spirit of a fiend in mortal paradise of such sweet flesh? So heaven and nature, how could you make this evil person in such a beautiful body? Was ever book containing such vile matter, so fairly bound? Was there ever such a horrible book with horrible words and content in such a beautiful cover? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a gorgeous place. And the nurse says something which I'm sure many of you probably agree with. She says, there's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men, all perjured. They're all liars, you can't trust any of them. All forsworn, all not, all dissemblers. So they're all deceitful, all worthless, all false. Where's my man? Where's my servant? Give me some aqua vitae, give me some brandy. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo. So obviously we can see that Juliet starts angry, but she quickly changes her tune. She says to the nurse, blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. For saying such things, I hope you get blisters on your tongue. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow shame is a shame to sit. His face is so beautiful. Shame is to ashamed to even sit there. For 'tis a throne where honour may be crowned. So his face is so beautiful that it's the only place for it is honour to sit there and be crowned. Sole monarch of the universal earth, so the only ruler of the earth. Oh, what a beast was I to chide him. So she's even saying how I was so mean to criticise and say bad things about him. The nurse says, will you speak well of him that killed your cousin? So will you speak nicely about the person who killed your own cousin? Juliet says, shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Ah, poor my lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name? So what person or what nice comments would make your name be smoothed again and make it be beautiful again? When I, thy 3 hours wife, have mangled it. So I've only been your wife 3 hours and I've said such horrible things. But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? Why on earth did you kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. So she's really cold and calculated. She's actually justifying Romeo killing Tybalt here. She's basically saying, well, if Romeo didn't do it, then Tybalt would have killed Romeo. So fair play. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe. So tears, go back into your eyes. You've been so foolish. At the end of the day, Romeo's alive. He's not dead. Go back from whence you came, which you, mistaking, offer up to joy. My husband lives, that Tybalt would have slain. So my husband's alive and Tybalt would have killed him, and Tybalt's dead, that would have slain my husband. So the person who wanted to kill my husband's dead. This is something I should be joyful about. All this comfort, wherefore weep I then? So why am I crying then? If my husband's alive, he's killed the person who wanted to kill him. Why am I crying? Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death, that murdered me. I would forget in fain, but oh, it presses my memory, like damned guilty deeds to sinners' minds. So there's something you said that's worse than Tybalt dying. That's worse than all of this. The thing you said, I just can't get it off my mind. It presses my memory like when you do something bad and you can't stop thinking about it. Tybalt is dead and Romeo banished. That one word banished have slain 10,000 Tybalts. So you telling me that Tybalt's banished is worse than hearing that Tybalt's died 10,000 times. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there, or if sour woe delights in fellowship, so if the sadness needs friendship. That's a common idiom today, misery loves company. So if sadness wants fellowship, and needly will be ranked with other griefs, why not followed when she said, Tybalt's dead, thy father or thy mother, nay or both, which modern lamentation might have moved. So the pain and the sadness I'm feeling now would still not be anything compared to hearing that my mum, my dad, and or both of them, Tybalt, all of them dying. That would be a normal amount of sadness for me right now. But you had to accompany the sadness with Romeo is banished. That's even worse. But with a reward following Tybalt's death, so with these words you said after of Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished. To speak that word is like saying, my father, my mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet are all dead, they're all slain. Romeo is banished, there is no end, no limit, no measure, no bound. In that word's death, no words can woe the sound. Where is my father and my mother nurse? So the things you've said, there's no boundary, no limit to the death that it brings me inside. There's no word that can be said to express the sadness I feel right now, because Romeo's been banished. The nurse says, weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corpse, will you go to them? So your parents are crying over Tybalt's corpse. I will bring you thither. Wash they his wounds with tears, mine shall be spent when theirs are dry for Romeo's banishment. So I will use up all my tears because Romeo has been banished. Even when they've stopped crying for Tybalt, I will still be crying for Romeo, basically. Take up those cords, so pick up that rope ladder. Poor ropes, you are beguiled, so you've been cheated. You won't be needed anymore. The heavens and fate have stopped you from being needed. Both you and I, for Romeo is exiled. He made you a highway. He made you for a highway to my bed, but I am made a maiden widowed. Come cords, come nurse, I'll go to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead. So she's courting death here, kind of important, and death is capitalized as a sort of god. Right, here to your chamber, I'll find Romeo. So go to your chamber, go to your bedroom, I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. To him he is hid at Lawrence's cell. So he's at Friar Lawrence's place, at his living quarters. I'll go and get him for you. I'll bring him here tonight. I find him give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell. So before he goes to Mantua, tell him to come to me and say goodbye. So that is the scene. Again, nighttime throughout the entire play. Lots of references to it, lots of stuff happens. All the Romeo and Juliet stuff happens when they meet at the ball, when they have the balcony scene, the wedding night, which will happen in a subsequent scene, or what was supposed to happen now, and the death at the end of the play even. All happen at night. Perhaps their love is like a dream. Perhaps they are set aside as different characters. Whilst everyone else is asleep, they live out their lives. Perhaps the daytime is against them and they have to hide. Lots of explanations. What is the importance of night in the play? Good luck, guys.